I shall design this computer for you, and I shall name it also unto you, and it shall be called
Guggith's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, what a dull name.
Hi everybody, welcome back to another year of our glorious tradition to sit down and talk about every movie the past calendar year has provided us with to enjoy to our heart's content. Naturally, 2025 was no different to past years, with there being something for everybody to enjoy at the cinema this time around. I took that a bit too seriously and saw 40 brand new movies released this year that we'll be covering in the following video from worst to best. And I decided I'll be ranking all 38 movies on the following criteria. 1. Writing/plot. Were the writers able to pitch a proper story that studios believed audiences would like, or was it told exclusively for the green cash? 2. Acting. Were the hired talent able to take that writing and translate it into the film medium, or were the line delivery choices maybe not the best? 3. Cinematography. Were the DP and director able to use visual language to tell unspoken parts of the scene, or did it fall flat of showing that? Number 4. Rewatchability/enjoyment. Like always, the final part of our criteria is how much I personally enjoyed the movie overall. Simply put, if it was boring, it'll be closer to the bottom of our list.
Hey gamers, Damon here. It's Damon from the hit YouTube channel Crazy Gamer Inc. And once again, I am here to rank the movies that I saw this year.
Be sure to show him support for the massive help he gave on the production of this video. But without further ado, sit back and enjoy every movie I saw in 2025 ranked from worst to best. I'll be completely honest, I didn't even want to talk about this movie. When me and Damon were entering pre-production for this video, I asked him if we even had to count this movie. To which we came to the conclusion that no other movie deserved the title of the worst movie of the year other than The War of Worlds. I seriously don't even know what to say about this movie because it has little to no substance whatsoever. Ice Cube is either not trying in the slightest or is this bad of an actor, and I'm honestly not sure which one's worse. It's just such an unwatchable and unfun movie because this is what the entire thing looks like. Not even any fun creative shots or pretty things to look at because we're glued to Discord the entire time. Not funny, did not laugh.
Whoa. I thought it was funny. I mean, yeah, it is hilariously incompetent without a single ounce of quality, wasting Devin Bostic, Roger Heffley himself. But I don't know, it made me laugh. That was funny as shit. I don't know, man. This might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, but it made some great memes and reaction videos. So I guess I can only give it a 2 out of 10 instead of a 1 out of 10.
I hope it's off to work we go.
For no reason at all, me and my friends saw the live action Snow White in theaters, and the funniest part about it is that nobody else was in there, so we just laughed and talked shit during it. I don't know why we saw it. I wanted to watch Dogman again, but nope, we just had to watch Peak Slap. But yeah, this movie's ass, but it's not because it's woke, not even close. In fact, I'd argue that Rachel Zegler is the best part of the movie because she actually fits the role and can actually sing, but everything else is straight ass. The CGI dwarfs are horrifying. Gal Gadot exists. She can't act, sing, and she's a Zionist. But the film is just boring and tries to be both original and a one-to-one recreation of the source material, and it doesn't work at all. It feels like it has no idea what it wants to be and sucks at doing both. So yeah, this movie sucks, and I was happy that the fact that this movie flopped so we wouldn't get any more live-action Disney remakes. But then that other remake came out this year.
There's no place I'd rather be. Lingering in the ocean blue.
I really do not like the Disney live actions. But congratulations, Lilo and Stitch. Out of the 2 Disney live action remakes I saw this year, you were a bit more bearable than Snow White. Both of those movies were terrible in my opinion, but Lilo and Stitch irks me in a way it does its typical copy and paste of the original with less soul. I love animation so much, I think it's one of the best genres, and when that medium is improperly translated into live action, the charm and the fun of the story can get ruined no matter how good the performances of the actors are. But the general audience is going to disagree with that statement and go see these movies anyway, so that they make billions of dollars and ignite more and more and more of them. These live-action remakes will unfortunately never cease. I hope my family stops asking me to see them for free with them.
Lilo & Stitch is one of my personal favorite movies ever made, and I genuinely hate the live-action remake. Like, okay, being a one-to-one remake makes the film unnecessary. However, changing too much from the source material can be made for the worse and just be straight bad. It's a lose-lose scenario for any live-action remake, but this one just pisses me off personally. You can't just change the ending because it ruins the entire point of the movie. And making Jumba a villain is just like one of the worst decisions they could have ever made. Just all the charm and subtlety of that original movie is just gone, and this movie is just nothing. I felt nothing watching this, and I hate it.
Despite being extremely boring, The Electric State was an original attempt at something possibly cool. The passion and the idea was definitely there. A post-apocalyptic world where these robots had a history of war was absolutely a cool idea, but unfortunately the execution of the idea did not translate well at all. Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown are both typically good actors, so it's odd to see them deliver a meh and kind of bland performance of a kind of cool script. To top it all off, the message of the movie was about humans fighting for their right to create and build things against the robots, but during the marketing of the movie, they were caught using AI to generate some of the voices used in production of the movie. And then Chris Pratt talks about wanting to have sex with his robot best friend at the end of the movie. It's just odd. It's weird. So all that combined just resulted in a boring and soulless feeling movie that was an obnoxious watch after the first 10 minutes ended with a robot signing a peace treaty with Bill Clinton.
I'm placing blocks and shit, cause I'm in the fucking Minecraft.
I seriously don't even know what to say about a Minecraft movie because there doesn't feel like a serious way to review a movie like this. I was unable to write a segment for this movie for a really long time because similar to other movies directed by Jared Hess, it's awkward and uncomfortable and weird, but obviously that is the intention. I think throughout the entire movie I was laughing more at how ridiculous the situation unfolding in front of me was than the actual joke itself. The entire movie just feels so fake and over-the-top insane that it was just too much for me to handle after 25 minutes in the overworld. Also, I think it's a little stupid that a movie all about Minecraft didn't even highlight the one story beat inside of base Minecraft, which is trying to prepare for the Ender Dragon fight. I personally think a movie all about that would have worked a little better than an evil pig leader of the Nether releasing General Chungus on Jack Black in the overworld. But I'm not the writer of the Minecraft movie, I guess.
Okay, I watched the Minecraft movie opening weekend, and it was one of the best experiences I've had all year. It was right before people started bringing live chickens to the theater and blowing up fireworks, but it was just enough to be a complete war zone. Chicken jockey! I'm not complaining though because I was a part of the problem. Anyways, yeah, this movie kind of fucking sucks. I mean, I guess it's sort of faithful to the game, but the writing is just really terrible. The only part I genuinely liked was Garrett the Garbage Man Garrison. Close enough. Welcome back, Dante Reyes.
The Conjuring Last Rites was an incredibly long, yet incredibly empty movie that just resulted in a boring watch. Which is really upsetting because I was a huge fan of the first two Conjuring movies, and I thought that the third one just stumbled a little bit and was honestly pretty bad, but my hopes remained for this fourth one nonetheless. But somehow it is near the same level of quality, if not worse than the third one. In this movie, it takes the Warrens nearly an hour and 45 minutes to get to the main haunted house of the movie. We follow this random-ass family experiencing these terrifying and really cool ghost events. And what are the Warrens doing this, you may ask? They're worrying about their daughter's boyfriend proposing to her because they didn't really like him all that much. It feels like a Hallmark movie inserted into a Conjuring movie, and it is not a good combination. This is not what I want from a Conjuring movie. And on top of that, the ghosts weren't even that cool, and it made every possible fun part of this movie seem wasted or just slow. Fear Street Prom Queen was honestly incredibly disappointing after being marketed so heavily as something connected to the previous Fear Street movies. because it has absolutely nothing to do with those three other than the fact that it also takes place inside the same town as Shadyside. The killer isn't even one of the previous possession victims that we saw in the last 3 movies. Not even a witch-possessed killer from Sarah Fear, just a cheesy slasher being associated with an existing and beloved franchise. And like most other cheesy slashers, almost all of the characters are forgettable and the plot is beat for beat guessable from start to finish. It's a little bit higher up on our list though because the kills were pretty cool. A lot of them were kinda gruesome and used their surroundings wonderfully to kill some one-dimensional teenagers on prom night.
Does he know about the D.O.R.E.? Huh? The door?
Why the fuck do they keep making these animated Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies? The Last Straw is better than the first 2 Wimpy Kid films and only slightly worse than Cabin Fever, but this one is easily the most unnecessary. Nobody's favorite book is The Last Straw. And why did they make it take place during Christmas? This is not a winter book. The animation does look slightly better than the past 2 movies, but it's just so boring. I mean, yes, it is a straightforward adaptation of the 3rd book, but because that book is so boring, its best elements have already been adapted in previous movies. And nothing in here is terrible and they don't bastardize the book, but I just don't care at all. I don't care about Greg's relationship with his dad because the Frank Heffley in these movies is painfully boring, unlike the GOAT Steve Zahn. Other than that, I have nothing else to say about this movie, other than the fact that Mr. Johnson from Abbott Elementary is in it. I love that show so much.
Unfortunately, towards the bottom parts of our list, we have the first of 3 Marvel movies released in 2025, Captain America: Brave New World. Cap 4 is a really disappointing follow-up to what was shown in The Falcon and Winter Soldier because it barely even follows up on the events of that show. This entire film feels more like a Hulk sequel that replaced Bruce for Sam. It follows up on more events from the Incredible Hulk than anything else, and it even features 2 Hulk villains of the Leader and the Red Hulk. And it just felt stiff as the Captain America themes battled against the Hulk themes for a very complicated and very obviously reshot and re-edited mess of a final product. Despite the plot being extremely messy, Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford do still deliver some great performances that kinda make you forget about how terribly written the main story is at some points. Sam Wilson Captain America has a lot of promise and a lot of charisma, but Jesus Christ, he needs some better writing as soon as possible. Please get him some more writers for Doomsday next December.
I watched this for a journalism assignment and I haven't thought about it since. Yeah, this movie was just kind of boring and has nothing really interesting for Sam Wilson to do, who deserves a lot better than being in a nothing burger of a movie. They should have just made the Falcon and Winter Soldier show movie instead of this.
Peter, the horse is here.
Death of a Unicorn was a very odd surprise of a movie, because I wasn't really expecting anything at all. I kinda just wanted to see a new A24 movie with Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega starring. And I'm happy with what I got. They took a very messy and misorganized script, and were still able to turn it into a fun and semi-enjoyable watch. And I'm honestly really glad that's all I was expecting, because they had a super fun relationship to watch while a gigantic CGI unicorn went around murdering people. In all fairness, the unicorn in close-ups when it was an actual practical figure looked super good and was an insane work of practical effects. But during any large outdoor scenes with a lot of movements, you could very easily tell where it was swapped out for a CGI model with lots of CGI blood poured on top of it, which was definitely sad because the smaller CGI shots and certain kills that were up close and practical looked amazing and were insanely creative, and it was honestly just a 50-50 toss-up on whether the blood looked like tomato soup or proper blood, and unfortunately that took me out of the majority of the plot.
Happy Gilmore 2. I have no idea why I watched this, but hey, I love comedies to death, and so I watched it. I'm not even the biggest Adam Sandler head either, but I watched the original, and I gotta admit, I liked it. It's a solid 7 out of 10, and this was a solid 5 out of 10. It was enjoyable enough, especially for a comedy sequel, which are usually terrible. Zoolander 2. But this kind of falls into the same trappings of comedy sequels with callbacks and reused jokes from the original film, plus a lame time skip where the main character is now a loser and needs to get his mojo back. It was enjoyable enough. I like how Adam Sandler shamelessly adds his daughters in this movie. I did laugh a few times, like when Eminem showed up and died by a bunch of alligators. I liked the part where he was doom scrolling on the toilet. And of course, the best part of both of these movies, Ben Stiller. I love him so much. He's my favorite actor of all time. And his character as Hal H is easily the best character in both of these movies. He's hilarious. And then that's all I gotta say.
Dimitri and Eli, binary brothers.
Karate Kid Legends is painfully mid. I only watched this because I'm a Karate Kid and Cobra Kai fan, which, by the way, is very cringy, but the show is good, I swear. This film focuses on this new kid who's taught under Jackie Chan for a little bit. Jackie Chan only has 10 minutes of screen time, and I don't know, I didn't think this movie was that bad. I kind of liked this kid and the struggles of fitting in high school and getting a job. But I don't know, it's just kind of okay. There's a Timmy Tough Knuckles ass villain because the main character steals his girlfriend. Blah blah blah. There's cool fight scenes though, at least. And Daniel LaRusso shows up for only 5 minutes of screen time. They kind of completely waste him and Jackie Chan in this. But they had Johnny Lawrence appear in the post-credits scene, so that's kind of all I wanted, I guess. Elio is a Pixar movie that exists. I kind of hate that this is just a forgettable movie because I love Pixar. But man, I just did not care for this at all. I mean, it has good animation and it's enjoyable enough, but it's just a nothing burger. There's a lot of behind the scenes issues with this movie, mainly of them removing Elio's more queer personality traits. And that could explain why this movie feels so aimless all the time. But the movie that we got is just so whatever. There's nothing really in here that I love. There's nothing much that I really care about. It's just whatever.
She's a killer queen, got bad agility.
Clown in a Cornfield is probably a movie very few of you have heard about, and I'll be honest, I've only heard about it because one of my friends insisted for months we see it on opening night, as it is one of his favorite book franchises. So going into a movie titled Clown in a Cornfield, I wasn't really expecting much, but I'll be honest, I was happily surprised. Usually in these types of slashers, all the characters are one-dimensional and boring, just to get brutally killed, but I found myself interested in a good chunk of the character arcs inside this insanely bonkers plot. Even a couple of their inevitable deaths made me sad, but obviously I didn't care because the title character of the movie, the clown in a cornfield himself, Friendo, was easily the highlight of this entire movie. I won't spoil the gimmick of the movie, but it's revealed pretty early on, and I love when movies do that because it gives it time to actually exist inside the plot. Twist endings are great, but they're short and they're quick. So when movies reveal the big twist in the middle of Act 2 and let the rest of the movie breathe, it just makes a so much better experience. I would absolutely recommend giving Clown in a Cornfield a try if you need something fun and semi-mindless just put on to enjoy. The How to Train Your Dragon live-action remake was honestly the best example of a one-to-one copy of the original, so it's difficult to have any issues with it despite it's not animated. But honestly, I think that's enough to place it where it does on our list. The performances and CGI of the dragons were both pretty stellar, but this is an animated story, one that belongs in that type of medium, and that's something I just don't think studios are quite understanding. Despite the fact that this movie looks beautiful in this live-action type of medium, sometimes the story just works better in animation versus live-action. And How to Train Your Dragon is a gigantic example of that, because no matter how many of the original iconic poses you recreate, it's still a recreation of something that does not need a redo. But I guess since they keep making money, they're just gonna keep getting them churned out, so here we go.
I'm not gonna lie, this movie is like the most overrated movie of the year. I mean, yeah, it's How to Train Your Dragon. It is a shot-for-shot remake of the same movie, but that movie is one of the best movies of all time, so this movie's just nowhere as good. Why would I ever watch this live-action movie when I can just watch the original? The CGI looks really good, and I like the actor that plays Hiccup, but other than that, it's just okay. This does not deserve all the hype at all, and I feel like this movie was only made because of the epic universe.
Probably my favorite example of I would rather watch something original and stupid than a live-action remake on this entire list, I present you all with The Monkey from Osgood Perkins. I actually love this movie so much because it's so overly stupid and it's aware of that, so it takes every opportunity and every chance it gets to lean into the stupidity of a magical and evil wind-up toy monkey causing these types of horrific deaths. See, it's overly graphic and very disturbing, but it's creative with it, which is exactly what I love from these types of movies versus ones that just throw blood and guts at the screen for shock value. Plus, it's directed by the guy who made Longlegs, so on top of all that, the movie just looks beautiful in its cinematography and its framing. I will take 100 of these overly campy and ridiculous horror movies than How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitches of the world, because this is just pure imagination and pure stupidity and fun at its finest. Mickey 17 was an incredibly well-acted, beautifully shot, and mess of a movie with just a lot of different plots and schemes going on at the same time that sometimes they were too much fighting for center attention. And even worse about it is that the main central plot that gets a lot of attention makes it really obvious that the writers thought a certain somebody was going to lose a very important certain election, and it's just cringy now that we're not living in that reality. But ignoring all of that, and among the entire chaos shines Robert Pattinson and Mickey 17 and Mickey 18. His acting of those two characters plus those little alien creatures, the creepers, are easily the best part of the movie. 2025 has a fun little trend of the same actor playing two versions of themselves, and Robert Pattinson absolutely nails it. 17 and 18 are completely different characters in my mind, so much so that during quick cuts, I didn't even think I was watching two Robert Pattinsons. And like I said, those little aliens, the creepers, are genuinely so adorable, and I love them so much that my friend and I have matching little plushies of them. Overall, Mickey 17 is a very fun but a very misguided movie at times, and I think the plot could have used a little bit more ironing and cutting some less important gimmicks, but nonetheless, a very enjoyable early year watch. I'm very sad about this entry. Wicked Part 1 was the second movie on the entire 31 movie list last year because it actually rocked me to my core. I had never seen the Broadway musical up until this point, so I've only heard that Act 2 of the musical compared to Act 1 was a lot slower, and those people were very right because Wicked for Good truly only had a couple of fun sequences that are worth praise, with the rest of the movie making me kind of sleepy. No Good Deed and For Good were their only good in movie songs, but there could have been so many more. For example, if March of the Witch Hunters wasn't interrupted by Girl in a Bubble randomly like they do in the actual final edit, it would have made that sequence infinitely more enjoyable. And then outside of my complaints with the music, with the runtime that they had, I think that a lot more characters could have been shown. Bach gets turned into the Tin Man, and he doesn't show up again until an hour and a half later in March of the Witch Hunters. His setup in this movie was so interesting and really cool, and they just went nowhere with it. And the exact same thing applies to Fiyero and the Scarecrow. My friends have made the argument that it's once they become those characters, they enter the Wizard of Oz. But my argument is I love the Wizard of Oz. Show me that stuff. Wicked is a retelling of the perspective of that story, so it's okay to show bits of that story. It still happened. It kind of seems like they were too afraid to touch anything that had anything to do with the Wizard of Oz. By this time of the stage musical, there isn't that much left, so they needed to make up a bunch of plot in order to fill this 2-hour and 17-minute movie. I think it was already an extremely difficult attempt to be better than the first movie, but this one didn't get anywhere close to it, and it was ultimately really disappointing for me. I'm also very sad about this one. Five Nights at Freddy's has been one of the largest franchises in my life since honestly ever, and to finally see it get the love it deserves on the big screens is enough as is. But if they're gonna put things in the theaters, I can't unfortunately be biased towards those outstanding games because these are movies, not those games that I grew up on. So when pieces taken from the games are barely featured in the movie, I walk out kind of unsatisfied. Because every single time they were in the pizzeria or they had an animatronic actively doing different things on screen, I had the biggest smile on my face ever. But the withered animatronics get one screen, Toy Bonnie and Toy Freddy I believe speak 2 lines each, the puppet is possessing a human at every single point, and everything else goes to Toy Chica and Megan Fox. I would have preferred if they went like the first movie and had a lot more splittage between who the plot favored in terms of animatronics. I'm very well aware that the second FNAF movie can't be 2 hours of Mike playing a 1-to-1 remake of the game, but I still feel like this was a step down from how the original was able to adapt this specific universe and its characters.
I think this is on par with the first one for me, which I thought was pretty mid. I think we need to come to the realization that maybe, just maybe, Scott Cawthon might just be a bad writer. As a diehard FNAF fan, I had a good time with this, but the script is pretty bad.
And don't overdo it, watch your calories.
Don't you tell me how many calories I need, bitch.
Jurassic World Rebirth was a gigantic step in the right direction for this franchise after the last couple of entries. I actually found myself enjoying this new group of characters and what they had to do to get onto the dinosaur island. A couple of them actually had compelling arcs, while the rest of them were obviously one-dimensional dinosaur food, but who cares? We're at these movies for those dinosaurs and the dinosaur food. And the dinos deliver on a degree that has not been present since the first Jurassic World, in my opinion. They were on such a different scale and utterly terrifying, and did not care what character it was they were eating for a snack. I was a little taken aback by how many characters had plot armor just because of how this movie was advertised as a movie from the guy who made Rogue One. You know, the movie where everybody dies. But I'm very intrigued as to where they go with this new saga of possible dinosaur movies, and I'll be happy if they keep going in this direction, because the movie was solid and did not have any ugly locust and bugs in my dinosaur movies, so you know what? Step in the right direction, guys.
The more I think about this movie, the more mid it kind of gets in my mind. But it does do more right than it does wrong. Like, the characters are kind of boring. How did they give my celebrity crush Scarlett Johansson the most boring character ever? And I wish the movie had more dinosaurs, but the set pieces are really well done, and they actually make the dinosaurs scary for once. I'm curious to see where the franchise goes, and hope it gets better from here.
Oi, Huey! Homelander done killed me wife and took me bloody son.
I really like Novocaine, man. This movie's kind of underrated. I really like Jack Quaid. I think he's a really good Nepo baby, and I love him in The Boys, and he's very charming in here. I think this movie says a lot about, like, disabilities and stuff, but I'm not super knowledgeable on that subject matter. But for what this is a really fun and enjoyable action and sort of romance movie. Because Jack Quaid's character is, like, in love with this girl, and he's, like, putting himself on the line just to save her. It's pretty funny. It has creative action scenes. It gets very brutal at certain points. And there's also the CEO of Sex, Ned Leeds. But yeah, this is a really good time, and I recommend it.
You can be the boom operator.
I thought Sandy was the boom operator.
Did somebody say
The Day the Earth Blew Up deserved more money. It's another underrated pick for me, and I really enjoyed seeing this in the theater. It's just nice seeing 2D animation on the big screen. And a Looney Tunes movie, no less. And I love the relationship between Porky and Daffy Duck in here. It's classic Looney Tunes fun that's both hilarious and clever with its writing and animation. But once again, check this out if you haven't. I'm really excited for Coyote vs. Acme.
The Black Phone 2 gave me some serious Freddy Krueger vibes, and as a massive fan of that franchise, I was here for it. I say that with so much honor because I love the dreamscape and the nightmare aspect to horror, and to see another horror franchise take on that was a breath of fun, fresh horror. Especially because we haven't really gotten anything out of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise in forever, so it's nice to kind of see something from this side. I also like how the main movie mainly focused on Finney, and how this one mainly kind of focuses on Gwen and their mother. The first movie was about one of these siblings, and now the second movie can focus on the other one. I love the premise of that, but it kind of just feels like Finney takes a back seat to the plot either way. He doesn't even seem important or integral to the plot this time around, while the movie is kind of looking us in the eyes and reminding us that the events of the first movie happened to him, not Gwen. Personally, I think if they went with a little bit of a dynamic between the siblings, it would have worked a little bit better. But honestly, none of that matters, because the Grabber and Ethan Hawke's performance is easily the highlight of the movie, with that entire sequence out on the ice being visually stunning and an extremely fun scene to watch. Definitely solidifying his performance this time around. For a movie that did not need a sequel ever, this is not the worst outcome we could have gotten. It's definitely not better than the first at all, but it's still a fun thriller that comes with some good scares and some great visuals all around.
There is nothing in this world I wouldn't do for Zoe from K-Pop Demon Hunters.
What the fuck? Are you with that Diddy shit?
Okay, so with K-Pop Demon Hunters, I think both the people that love it and hate this movie are both the most annoying people alive. Other than that, this movie's pretty good. I kind of hate how it's easily the most popular animated film of the year, taking away recognition from other animated movies. However, I can't deny that it's still a good time. Songs are very catchy, and I think the leads are very enjoyable here. Zoe is a valid hear me out. I did like when they showed up in the Fortnite event. The animation is also stunning, of course, and the plot and premise of the movie is very creative and fun. If you think about the racial implications of the plot with the demons and stuff, it gets a little confusing and weird. I'm not super knowledgeable on that subject, and I low-key don't care. Other than that, yeah, I enjoyed K-Pop Demon Hunters. Not the best animated film of the year, but still a good one.
Good grief, he's naked!
I loved the Naked Gun movie. I watched the original trilogy this year, and this is a perfect successor to those movies. I really wish I saw this one in theaters, because I just know the laughter would be infectious. It's just gag after gag, and even if one doesn't work for you, there's always one that will coming up right after. The snowman scene being my personal favorite bit. I don't want to spoil every bit in this movie, so once again, I encourage you to go watch this movie. It is really funny. I did not think Liam Neeson was that funny, and he's a good successor to Leslie Nielsen. We need more comedies in theaters. We need it now. Okay, this right here, Nobody 2, this is my pick for the most underrated film of the year, besides Dogman. No normal human being would put this movie this high up on their best films of the year, but good thing that they call me the crazy gamer. I love the original Nobody film starring Bob Odenkirk. It is basically John Wick, but he's a suburban dad / hitman. It's awesome and fun and is too well shot than it has any right to be. And Nobody 2 is just on par with that first one. This time he goes on a family vacation at this rundown amusement park to rebuild his relationship with his family. But of course he gets in a bunch of fights and stuff, and it escalates to getting the attention of a drug empire. It is just so fun. I really love Bob Odenkirk. I think he's awesome in these movies. What can I say? I like seeing him violently beat the shit out of people. And plus for having Christopher Lloyd in these. I love Christopher Lloyd. I love Back to the Future. Please see Nobody 2. I am begging you. I need a third movie so bad.
You were right. I'll always be a villain.
I was kind of surprised on how good The Bad Guys 2 was. DreamWorks never misses with their sequels, and this one's no different. My biggest flaw with the original was kind of how predictable it was, and thankfully this isn't at all. It carries the themes of redemption and societal pressure very well here. The cast is still fun, and Diane Foxington, oh boy! She solos Judy Hopps, man, I swear to God. I also love the new characters in here, like the leopard played by Daniel Brooks. I love the animation as always, and the humor was pretty good too. This is a great watch, and I low-key will be watching that third movie.
For the third year in a row, Yorgos Lanthimos delivers another fun, beautifully shot, and unexpected adventure in Begonia. Of course, starring Emma Stone, both her and the entire movie is such a satire, it keeps you guessing from start to finish. The plot is insane and very confusing, but I truly enjoyed having absolutely no clue what was going on because, like I said earlier, this movie is so beautifully shot. It's honestly one of my highest praises for the entire movie overall, just because it kept finding new and inventive and creative ways to make the same setting that we're trapped in of the basement look different enough each time we cut back to it. But acting alongside Emma Stone is the equally as talented Jesse Plemons. He sells the character of Teddy so well and makes him sound extremely confident in what he's saying, which is absolutely a challenge because almost every single word that comes out of this character's mouth is absolute insane nonsense. The movie has the seamless ability to dip into comedy one sec and then right back to horror, and it sparks this never-ending battle for the conflicting tone of the scene, and it caught me off guard every single time it swapped back to horror. And just because of that, Begonia was genuinely an extremely great time that had me guessing every single second just to be wrong in the end anyway.
Start digging in your butt, twin.
What?
Companion was actually the first movie I saw in 2025, and honestly, I'm shocked that it remained this high all year, but honestly, it was an absolute blast of a slasher movie to start off the year. The premise is super fun, especially if you don't know the gimmick of the movie, as I didn't walking into it. The cast is incredible and takes the really odd and wacky script and translated it into a really fun and enjoyable watch through their performances. Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher absolutely nail it in the leading roles, making their original relationship seem somewhat awkward before it devolved and changed so drastically as the plot furthered. Emphasis on Thatcher though, she nailed the confusion and the paranoia of the situation while doing something rare in horror movies, which is making smart decisions on how to survive. But what's fun about this one is both our protagonist and antagonist are both smart as hell, so it becomes a battle of the wits every single time they cross. So just seeing all the creative ways that Iris manages to keep going despite everything that's dropped against her will never not be entertaining. Plus you add some amazing needle drops on top of some great looking kills, and you have a pretty solid early year entry, making it pretty high on the overall list. Fantastic Four First Steps had probably the smallest bar of all time to clear. It just needed to be better than the previous adaptation. So thank you so much, Kevin Feige and Max Shackman, for clearing that bar and setting it so much higher, because Fantastic Four First Steps was finally an amazing adaptation of these characters. Getting the privilege to see this movie in IMAX was almost life-changing, because First Steps is easily one of the coolest looking MCU movies in a long time. Galactus absolutely delivers on a massive contribution to that, one of the coolest standalone villains lately. His scale and terror is felt every single time he's on screen, and I felt the panic of the Four just sitting in my seat watching him. Everything in space truly looks like it was ripped right out of the comics and added its own little charm to it. Besides the movie itself just looking great, the Four themselves finally get proper adaptations that allow them to feel more like the source material than any actor has gotten even close to in the last 20 years. It's such a wonderful breath of fresh air for some of my favorite characters who have been done dirty time and time again to get proper adaptations. The best part about the team themselves is that me and my friends all had different favorites when the credits started to roll. Each of them felt unique, fun, had something to do, and most importantly, felt like a family. Marvel marketed this with the First Family title, so I was expecting some proper familial bonds, and they absolutely delivered. Not just on the wife or husband or brother and sister elements of it, but even Reed and Johnny's relationship or his friendship with Ben. And knowing that we get to see them again next year in Doomsday actually warms my heart, because this feels like a successful adaptation of the Fantastic Four finally in mainstream media after all these years.
Doug kind of said everything I wanted to say about Fantastic Four. It's great, but I gotta admit, it's just kind of missing something for me. Maybe it's all the scenes that they cut out, but it's just missing that oomph that something like Superman had. Because everything else is great. Sucks that my favorite character, The Thing, has kind of nothing to do here. He's also my main in Marvel Rivals, so that's also why. Zootopia 2, in my opinion, is even better than the original Zootopia. This movie has the same strengths as that film, with a creative world, great animation, fun characters, and powerful themes. And it's expanded upon here with introducing reptiles and going into the lore of Zootopia's founding. It's all very interesting. Judy and Nick have a great dynamic as always, their partnership being tested to the extreme while they're on the run. It's a great exploration of the two. I like all the new characters, especially the Patrick Warburton horse. It's great to see Joe Swanson in movies again. And I like Gary the Snake too, because it's Ke Huy Quan. And the villain this time is actually a good twist villain, who actually has time to be evil and threatening. I once again have shockingly little to say about Zootopia 2, but again, it's a really enjoyable movie, and it's nice to have an actual good movie earn $1 billion for once.
Crypto! You brought that dog, man! You brought that dog, man! You brought that dog, man!
Dogman was super cute and just an overall great time. I had no issues placing it this high because of what it means to Damon, and just because Dogman is him and honestly deserves it. It has such a goofy and childlike charm to it that the deeper and honestly really tragic elements of the story are shrouded in this little protective shield that I ended up appreciating a lot. The movie is just pure imagination at its finest, looking at every single character design and every single villain of this movie and how wonderfully different they all are from each other. The animation is great, the voice acting is great, and the ability to have Dogman be this expressive while voiceless was an also amazing accomplishment. Plus, it's something out of Captain Underpants universe, so I will never say stop giving me these movies.
Well, I got it up as high as I could. Dogman is my personal favorite film of the year, to nobody's surprise. I genuinely think this is a great and underrated movie, and it means more to me than any other movie that is released this year. It's such a great adaptation of the source material, with a great understanding on why they're so beloved, and how to adapt it well for a film. And hey, this is me and his pick for the best animated film of the year, so that means something.
Marty Supreme Christmas Day, Marty Supreme Christmas Day. Hey, Timothy, has anything interesting happened to you in your life the last couple months? Marty Supreme Christmas Day.
In our 8th place slot, we have the movie that I closed out the year with, Marty Supreme, starring White Boy of the Year, Timothée Chalamet. After seeing this movie, I fully understand why he trained for years for this movie and promoted it so much, because Marty Supreme rocks. Genuinely, just so much insane shit happens in this movie that you'd think it's 4 hours long, but the pacing works so well as Marty bounces from random idea to random idea in order for him to make it to Japan for the championship. Because this man has dedication that has not been seen inside a movie for a hot second, because he will do whatever and whoever it takes to make it to Japan for this championship. Chalamet is so charismatic and adds so much life into this character that you kind of just forget you're watching a terrible person at work. Like I said earlier, he uses everybody in his life, neglects his pregnant best friend, and even scams a businessman while screwing his wife. That last part, honestly, is really funny to me because I was waiting for the explosive moment between the two characters where the one finds out about the affair, but it never came, and that's honestly a funnier ending to that plot for me. But inside this movie, it's not just Timothée Chalamet who did amazing. Gwyneth Paltrow did amazing as this unsatisfied older actress who just wished that she had the kind of passion that Marty did. Odessa as this pregnant, struggling mother who just wants company and time out of Marty, which is the exact time he cannot provide such a thing. And even Kevin O'Leary, yeah, that guy from Shark Tank, is such a convincing rich billionaire that you're designed to hate. And I didn't even know about this going into it, but Tyler, the creator, also gives an amazing performance as Marty's best friend Wally. The cinematography, the acting, the story, and the score all combine into this great little mashup that made Marty Supreme the most locked into ping pong I've ever been in my entire life. It's an insane, pedal-to-the-metal A24 blast that I highly recommend. Thunderbolts gets the crown of being the best Marvel movie to release in 2025. And that was honestly a really big surprise to me because Thunderbolts didn't even crack the top 10 for my most anticipated movies of 2025 video. But there's just something about these beaten, raggedy, borderline ordinary people facing these kinds of threats and prevailing that make it such an interesting story. While delivering on all of that, it has constant themes of depression, trauma, PTSD, bipolar disease, and so many other things. They took characters that were already somewhat established in other movies or shows and used this space to flesh each and every one of them out and make them feel like actual fun characters that I'm truly excited to see return. And in the best possible way, Thunderbolts feels like a Phase 2 movie, where it takes its time to let you fall in love with the characters before seeing them return in the big team-up event. And that's exactly what I did. Yelena Belova and John Walker are some of my favorite characters the MCU has introduced post-Endgame, and honestly, overall, I find them both incredibly well written and acted, and they have just such a solid and fun presence. Thunderbolts was just such a brilliant movie about breaking down walls and being vulnerable that I have such a soft spot for it, making it easily one of the best Marvel movies they've released in a hot second, and without a doubt, the best one they released in 2025.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by Thunderbolts, one of the best MCU movies in recent memory, and I'm shocked that the film managed to make me care about every single character in here. And it almost made me excited for Doomsday. I say almost because I don't give a fuck about the new trailer.
I might actually be in love with the way that Zach Cregger directs movies, because in recent years, both Weapons and Barbarian have been some of my favorites. Weapons is just so mysterious, beautifully shot, and overall such a funny movie too. Julia Gardner, Josh Brolin, and Kerry Christopher deliver such good performances that makes Weapons such an enjoyable movie from start to finish no matter whose segment it's on. The way the movie divides its entire length into those different chapters and segments is also so fun. Seeing the way it interconnects and slowly starts filling in details and missing pieces of previous chapters always made an amazing watch. Weapons also has the uncanny ability to seamlessly switch between comedy and extremely tense and serious situations on the flip of a coin. There were so many scenes that got me laughing and then immediately on the edge of my seat within minutes of each other. And mainly most of those scenes featured the best character of the entire movie, Aunt Gladys. Perhaps one of the greatest characters of the entire year, mainly thanks to Amy Madigan's beautiful performance. She delivers easily the best performance of the entire movie, and one of the best performances of the year, honestly, and solidifies Aunt Gladys as one of the most standout villains of the year. Her abilities are so genuinely terrifying, and to pair it with this insane look and sweet little old lady voice instantly makes her a memorable standout. The entire movie is honestly a gigantic standout of the year, and if you haven't had the pleasure of watching it over on HBO Max yet, I cannot recommend enough.
Yeah, this movie's great. I don't watch many horror movies, but man, this was a great watch. Great performances, a nice and creative plot that gets pretty creepy. It was a great time all around. I really liked how my theater reacted, but I think that's just how horror movies are. I need to see more horror movies.
The Long Walk was one of the most devastating movies of the entire year. It got me crying or tearing up 4 separate times, which has not happened probably since Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Every single actor in this insanely twisted game brings such life and such personality to each of the characters that when you realize that this is the kind of movie where only one of them can be the winner, you've already developed a couple of favorites. Just showing these guys push their bodies as far as they physically can in a challenge with such a simple concept is enough. But when the movie zooms into each contestant and shows the mental pressure of the challenge as well, you get some of the best parts of the entire movie. The Long Walk does not shy away from using those moments to make you uncomfortable as possible, and it works well quite frequently. Ray and Pete's growing relationship in the movie is of course the best part. Showing them grow from strangers to brothers in these grueling miles over the course of these days, it makes every single little action they do to assist each other put me on the edge of my seat every single time. Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson delivered damn near perfect performances that I would personally consider Oscar-worthy because of how soul-crushing it is to see these characters journey through the insane dystopian they live in. Truly upsetting and devastating in every way, but that's what makes it such an amazing and worthy movie of top 5 for 2025.
For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise...
As we get close to our top 3, we have a movie Netflix was too afraid to give a full theatrical release to, Frankenstein. Oscar Isaac and Jacob Elordi are absolute gems of the modern age, and pairing them with Mary Shelley's beautiful story of Dr. Frankenstein and his monster, and legendary director Guillermo del Toro on top of it, you have a recipe for a beautiful and faithful adaptation. And that's exactly what this is, because in every single shot and every single frame of this movie, it looks like it was ripped directly from the pages of Mary Shelley's writing. Toro's distaste for CGI and hatred for AI require this movie to go absolutely insane with set and practical design of the entire movie, and they absolutely succeeded. The gothic tone displayed throughout the entire movie feels ripped right out of the 17th century, and the constant messaging of nature versus nurture of the film was a key contributor towards my love for this film. The creature is only ever depicted as violent against victors and others who fired first. The parallels between Frankenstein and his monster were heart-wrenching as well. The way they both crave the bigger meaning of life but truly fail to understand and experience what the thrill and enjoyment of life truly is. And similar to many other movies on this list, Frankenstein tells its story in 2 different perspectives. The first from Victor's eyes as he tries to manufacture this life and then navigate how to control it. It's jarring and it's stiff to see, so when the movie slows down and shifts the story from Victor to the creature's perspective, it becomes so much more humane and real as it shows the creature's quest to just be accepted and figure out what he is. The scene with the old man in the barn and the ending of the movie in front of the sun never fail to make me cry, as they're just so beautifully shot and written scenes that elevate the movie to such a higher level than I could have ever imagined. Truly one of the best movies of the entire year, and one of the best things Netflix has produced in a hot minute. If only they would stop being cowards and allow cinema to play in the cinema, this could have been an absolutely box office killer like it deserves to be. Rian Johnson nails it yet again with another murder mystery in Wake Up Dead Man. Johnson decided to tell the mystery through the lens of different perspectives of the Christian church this time, showing the many different ways people misinterpret sometimes what it means to be a person who practices faith, which is spreading love. Showing Father Judd as this unapologetically angry man of faith who just wants to stay true to himself and spread as much love as possible is heartbreaking to watch when he's accused of murdering the one man he did not have that kind of view for. It was the one and only person in this world he truly couldn't say that he did not hate, and now he's accused of murdering him in front of the entire town. Putting him on blast like that and pairing him with legendary Benoit Blanc in his 3rd outing of this franchise was an absolute treat to watch. Outside of all the beautiful performances and writing, the cinematography is absolutely stellar. My favorite thing that Rian Johnson does with his movies is the use of the unreliable narrator of memory in order to drive the mystery forward. The difference in how the scenes of grace are shot when being told by Martha and someone in the church, then later when we know the full picture, were perfect examples of how cinematography can change the tone and the context while still showing the exact same story. Wake Up Dead Man is just more of exactly what I love from Johnson and the Knives Out franchise in general, is making this franchise incredibly difficult to rank from worst to best. I just love them all equally, and Wake Up Dead Man is no different. An amazing murder mystery with a stellar cast, a stellar plot, and an amazing cinematographer driving it forward the entire time. Give me 10 more of these movies and I will watch them forever.
I love the Knives Out films. Yes, all 3 of them, including Glass Onion. I will not tolerate Glass Onion slander. All of them are a 10 out of 10 for me, and this is no surprise one of my favorite films of the year. I don't think it's better than the first in my opinion, as I think the supporting cast in here is the weakest out of the 3 movies, but the movie is still fantastic. I love everything about it. I think this film does a great job at representing religion and Christianity in this film. It feels very accurate and relevant to today's society. It represents all people's relationship with religion, those who radicalize it to spread hate, and those who are genuinely good people who use religion to guide people and be the best people they can be. And on top of that, it's just another fantastic, well-written Rian Johnson whodunit. I cannot wait for the next movie. Please, please have Ben Stiller in it. Please, I beg you, he would be perfect. Please!
In our number 2 spot for the year, we have the movie that I was most anticipating this year, James Gunn's Superman. My expectations for this movie were so unbelievably high, and somehow it managed to exceed them. Superman has always been a character dear to me, and for so many years, people did not understand who he was supposed to be because of these terrible adaptations and the rise of this evil Superman gimmick with Homelander, Omni-Man, and whatever that kid's name from Brightburn is. This movie had 2 gigantic tasks attached to it, which was start a brand new cinematic universe and clear the entire image of Superman that was done to him by Zack Snyder. Neither of them were easy tasks to do, but James Gunn absolutely succeeded in both, launching the punk rock era of the summer where people just wanted to be kind to one another. And that right there is exactly what the character of Superman should stand for. David Corenswet and Nicholas Hoult give it their absolute all in this insane brawl between a narcissistic genius and an alien who just wants to live the human way. The rivalry is so interesting to watch develop on screen as Lex thinks he has everything figured out because he has it all planned. And it probably would have worked out if it wasn't for Superman's constant attitude of truth and justice and fighting towards just making sure most people are safe. That attitude clashing so heavily with Lex Luthor's views that the ends justify the means made for an amazing third act watch. Both solidified themselves inside this franchise and the entire industry with these performances given this time. DC hasn't had an actual banger like this since The Batman and even longer before that, so the track that they've been on lately is extremely promising. DC has some of the coolest characters and stories in fiction, but has some of the worst luck ever when it's come to general widespread films so far. But with Superman being the start of this fresh and new DC universe that puts great storytelling first, I am so excited for the future of this studio and the franchise of the DCU. If all the movies are this beautifully shot, this beautifully written, acted, and even scored, Marvel is in trouble.
Superman is a phenomenal movie. The gun does not jam. It's such a great adaptation of the source material with fantastic casting and characterization that nails the spirit of Superman to a T. It literally made everybody want to be a good person for about a solid month. And if you genuinely think that Man of Steel is better than this, then you're just lying to yourself. Please seek help.
But with Superman taking our number 2 spot for 2025, there can only be one movie left to claim the top spot and the title of the best movie of 2025. Without a single doubt in my mind, the best movie of 2025 is Ryan Coogler's gothic horror movie musical starring vampires, Sinners. Arguably one of the best movies of the entire decade so far, Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan hand-deliver an absolute masterpiece directly onto our laps, and I'm here for every single second of it. Taking us and Sammy on this beautiful and symbolic journey through black artistry and history inside a gothic vampiric setting is such a genius idea, and it gets executed perfectly. The symbolism of Remick being a vampire and literally sucking the life out of cultures and coming for Sammy and his songs is already cool enough as presented in the movie, but when you realize that his Irish culture history was probably also rewritten by the same pagans and the same Christianity as Sammy's culture, you realize that him and Sammy are a lot more alike. Their stories are a lot more similar, and it just creates this everlasting cycle that creates such an interesting watch every single time. We are seeing new feats of filmmaking with this movie in almost every single department. The acting is perfect, the cinematography is perfect, the editing is perfect, and especially the music is perfect. Ludwig Göransson is coming for that Oscar, and if it isn't delivered directly to his seat on a personal platter, I will be extremely disappointed in the Academy. The second I left that theater, I found myself listening to almost everything on repeat for weeks. But the entire movie wouldn't be complete without the best example of actors playing two versions of themselves this year, with Smoke and Stack being portrayed by Michael A. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan. His acting is actually insane yet again, and it makes me forget that he doesn't actually have a twin at all. Every single time I watch behind the scenes information about this movie, I expect to just see two Michael B. Jordans and get really confused every single time I see a stand-in. Smoke and Stack were such different portrayals of a similar story that forced Michael B. Jordan to play them with such different traits and different characteristics, like they were actually different people entirely. He takes Coogler's outstanding, multi-dimensional, and heartbreaking writing and adds an extra level of creativity and passion to it. And because of that acting, every single scene is elevated to a higher level that no movie has featured in a hot second. The final scene of the movie with Stack and Mary and a grown Sammy never fails to get some kind of reaction out of me, which is just what good storytelling should do.
I completely agree. Seeing Sinners in IMAX was an experience that changed my life for the better. This movie lives up to the hype in every regard. It is a masterpiece all around with great characters, effects, music, and everything across the board. I hope to see it win every award under the sun.
Sinners will sit with me for a while. I think it is just a truly generational piece of storytelling that we rarely see these days. It's a beautiful blend of the horror genre and using its best qualities to highlight the worst parts of our shared history. It's very surreal and wonderful to see a movie inside the horror genre catching all this praise like this, but Sinners deserves every single piece of praise I'm awarding and others are awarding it. It's truly a wonderfully alive film that will send you home still thinking about its messaging, which awards Sinners with the title of the best movie released in 2025. There you have it, folks. Our interpretation for the best movies released inside 2025. If you were able to make it this far into the video, I thank you very much for listening to what we have to say for this long. I truly appreciate the support and would love to hear about what you thought of 2025 in the comments section or over in Letterboxd. It's been an absolute blast, and I cannot wait for another amazing year of movies ahead of us, and I will see you all in the wonderful new year of 2026. Take care, guys.